Hi guys, I'm the Infamous, and today we're going to be going over Jane Doe's W engines, cinemas, teams, and more. I also have chapters so you can skip to a part you like, but I'd recommend watching the whole way through, just so you can make sure you're getting the best out of your Jane. Now with that out of the way, let's get right into the video. Jane Doe is a physical 5-star anomaly unit, and she also happens to be our first 5-star unit that we can actually summon on that belongs to the anomaly class. Now, with that comes a price, and that so happens to be our weapon. The fact that you have to summon with this in in-game currency is a bit of a pain. And also the fact that her signature doesn't really have a great substitute. I feel like the only viable substitute that I personally like is the electric lip gloss, and that's something you also have to pay for with the battle pass. Again, it's a bit of a disappointment, but this is a really good substitute if you guys already own it like I do. And if you guys don't want to go for either of these two, since they're both pay to win, essentially, then you guys can go for Weeping Gemini, which is a really good substitute if you guys are willing to go for boss units. In the endgame, you're going to be able to max this out more consistently than if you were to have Rainforest Gourmet, just because of the fact that you're not constantly going to have her skill up, whereas this is permanently on as long as you're stacking your assault, which she procs constantly. The best part of these two is the fact that they're both craftable, so you're going to be able to max out these passives very, very easy. Now, I don't think this is necessarily an issue, but again, the fact that nothing in the game has an anomaly build-up rate other than her signature makes this very, very tempting. I don't recommend anybody ever spend on a weapon, but if you're like me and you have saved a lot, this is something I highly recommend. I think her signature is almost a must summon with her. Now, when it comes to drive discs, I feel like it's very simple for Jane Doe. You either want to go for a 4-piece physical or a 4-piece anomaly set. I feel like it's pretty simple. The physical set is giving you a 35 damage bonus if you proc assault, which she's going to be doing constantly. So this is basically free damage. Or you're also getting her build res down, which is huge because you're going to be able to proc assault more consistently. I feel like these are literally either or, whatever you feel more consistent with. I personally choose anomaly build down res because I like proccing it consistently, and that helps with disorder teams because, well, the faster you can proc your anomaly, the faster you can switch out, the more disorder you can proc consistently. If you're using her in a mono team, either it's like Nekomata, Jane Doe, then I would say 4-piece physical is better. Or even if you're using her as a hyper carry, I feel like 4-piece physical is really good as well. But if you're using her in disorder teams like I plan to, at least as of right now, 4-piece anomaly takes the cake, at least in my personal opinion. When we start taking a look at substats, I feel like this is very, very simple. All you really need is anomaly proficiency, attack percentage, and pin ratio. Now that I'm actually taking a look at this, this is one of the best relics I've ever seen for an anomaly unit. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, no, this is really, really good. Okay, well, that aside, I feel like getting anomaly proficiency should be your priority. If you get lucky, great. Attack percent, second, and then your last slot can be pin ratio. It's unfortunate I got HP percent, but there's not really another option aside from these two. Maybe flat attack, but that's not necessarily that crazy either. Hopefully it doesn't go into flat attack. You would rather have the percentage. But these are the best subsets you can possibly get. It's very simple. She's an anomaly unit, so it's pretty self-explanatory. When it comes down to Jane's main stats, her disc 4, you're going to want to go for anomaly proficiency. Disc 5, you want to go for physical damage bonus. Right here I only have pen ratio, but that's because of my poor luck. This is the best substitute I have considering I have Rena on my team, so this is my only real substitute. I guess you could also go for attack, but overall physical damage bonus just takes the cake. And then for her disc 6, you want anomaly mastery. Again, very simple considering she's an anomaly unit, basically, and every anomaly unit is built the same, but she's very easy to build, very simple. For those that plan on heavily investing into Jane Doe, these are just really, really good buffs in general, so I'm happy for you. You know, physical anomaly bonus, really, really good. Your proficiency increases your damage. This is already insane. These are legitimately direct DPS increases. One is your consistency to get damage in general, and buffs for somebody like Nekomata, because the more you proc assault, the more your passive is up, right? And then again, proficiency increasing your damage directly is just insane. Your Eidolon 2 is probably the best one in this kit, at least early on, to the point where I would actually think if you really, really like Jane Doe, if you're a light spender, this might actually be worth it for you. Ignoring defense is something I consider the best thing for every DPS in the game. If you can ignore defense, I don't know. I don't know why they put it in these kits. This is legitimately power creep. Ignoring defense is so good. I'm personally not going to spend on any of it because I don't think it's ever worth going for any Eidolons or Mindscapes or whatever you want to call it. But in general, even though it's very good, I would actually value the weapon more personally. But this is just really good. Ignoring defense, and on top of that, your crit damage is even higher than usual. Like, Jesus, man. Eidolon 2 is the best one here. Eidolon 4, also very good. Your team buffing, this is really good for any anomaly team in general. So this honestly is making her a direct comparison to somebody like Kafka and Star Rail. It's really, really good. she buffs her DOT in this game. And then 6 is obviously going to be her best. Again, up to you if you want to spend that much, but you're increasing your crit rate, really good, and then your crit damage, a direct increase in DPS, and then physical damage bonus, getting higher equivalent to your anomaly proficiency. This is just insane. Insane. You're throwing down a nuke every time you proc assault. This is just crazy. If you have idle on 6, I don't think anything is gonna power creep you. But yeah, really good kit overall. Her eidolons are all very, very valuable. When it comes to Jane Doe teams, I feel like she's got 3 really good options currently. My favorite option currently is Jane Doe, Grace, and Arena. Now, a lot of people would look at that and say, but what about Seth? And I would agree. What about Seth? You know, his buffs are really good. If we were to check his passive, I'm giving anomaly build-up res, and the fact that I'm actually getting a shield is also very sweet. It's a good buff. It is a good buff. But if we took a look at how disorder teams work for a second, it's kind of disruptive with how his assist works. Usually what you would do is you would proc assault, switch into your Grace, proc your shock, and then you would use Rena. And how her assist works is you would send out your goons and you would go forward into your Jane Doe. But because of Seth being a weirdo, how his assist works is you would proc assault, shock, and then instead of continuing your chain and going into your assault again to proc more disorder, you're actually sending your person backwards back into shock. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. I'm assuming it's because this actually works perfect for Jane Doe hypercarry teams, which I'm going to get into right now. But it's just annoying for disorder teams. So personally, I would actually recommend going Rena over him until Bernice comes out, which is going to be an anomaly off-field support. It's just not worth it. I just don't think it's worth it. The way his assist works is just super annoying. If you guys can get past that, I feel like he's a really good option, especially because of that anomaly buildup proficiency. That's just huge. But for me, it's not doing it. Now, another really good team you guys can run is, again, what I was trying to say earlier, a hyper carry team where you run Jane Doe, Seth, and Arena. So then you're able to send yourself back into your DPS. You're getting your uptime up, but you're still having Arena there so that she can proc your assist. You're able to get your off-field support with the pen ratio. This is a really good synergy. You're making your Jane Doe pop really, really hard. It's really sweet in action. Now, personally, I think hypercarry is very fun, but I prefer disorder more. And another character I enjoy playing is Nekomata. So seeing her get any support is just very sweet in general, you know? And before we had Piper, and now that we've got a 5-star physical anomaly, this is literally power creep. It's a direct upgrade. So of course I'm going to mention Nekomata teams, right? We've got Nekomata, Jane Doe, and Nicole. If you guys want to proc your passive for Jane Doe, I would recommend going Seth. But the same issue I said with Disorder is the same issue I have with this team, where instead of continuing your flow, you know, you would usually have Jane Doe, you proc Assault first. Then you switch it to Nekomata, you get your DPS up, and then instead of going back into your Jane Doe with Rena or Nicole for that matter, and continuing your flow to proc Assault again, and then continuing your buffs, Seth sends you back to your Nekomata and continues your DPS chain. Again, that's really good for hyper carries, but for dual DPS comps, it's just not worth it. So for me personally, Seth is a bit of a disappointment in that regard. I really don't like how his assist works, but I feel like the anomaly buildup res is so important for Jane Doe that it's honestly worth biting the bullet, and instead of going for Nicole, I would choose Seth personally, even with the negatives. Again, it's up to you, but personally, what I believe is the most fun team and what I plan on playing with, I'm choosing Jane Doe, Grace, Rena. When talking about how Jane Doe's combat experience works, I feel like the first thing we need to mention is her meter. If you guys check on the top left, that is actually going to increase her anomaly proficiency, build up, and damage. It's a huge increase in damage overall, and I always recommend trying to get that up. And the best news of that is, it's very easy to build up. All we have to do is regular attack. You can also quick dodge. So I'm going to let this guy move for a second and give you an example of that. Hello, goon. Very easy to build up. And she also has very easy dodges too. It lasts a very long amount of time. And now that we actually have it up, look how much quicker it is to build. Once you proc your meter, you also have a little dot, and that allows you to do that spin kick. That spin kick will also build back your meter. And as you can see, we don't have it up because the only way to get that back up is by having your meter reset completely and then building it back up again. You could also ult to bring back that circle and build your meter back up, and it's an insta build up. But I don't ever recommend doing that unless you actually really need it, like you're desperate for your build up. This also gives you super armor. I just held it down, he punched me midway. That works perfectly fine. There's a lot you can do with this form in general, but it's just very good. It's very, very good, very consistent. There's many ways you can build it, but I feel like her meter is probably the most important thing in her kit. Again, as long as you guys can get that consistently up, it is huge because that's increasing her anomaly buildup rate significantly. Another thing I want to talk about is the reason why Jane Doe does so much damage, at least in comparison to Grace, right, is because, and I already mentioned this during Mind Skips a little, it's because of the fact that she can crit whenever she procs Assault. For example, 185. It is really, really good. Insane even. But we can also proc it again. Let's see. 190. Again, another crit. Ridiculous. Whereas if I were to bring out Grace, I hit 89, and that's because that was a physical damage on it still. 20,000, 34,000. One more. Let's go. Okay, 21,000 every DOT. In comparison to a flat 200,000 damage, it isn't as appealing, at least in my personal opinion. It's good, but in comparison to just popping the damage like that, it's legitimately a nuke. She drops a nuke every single time she procs Assault. And again, it's because she crits. Now, the only way to do it is by increasing your anomaly proficiency. But you're going to do that on any anomaly character anyway. It's just so good. She is so strong. Another thing I want to show you guys is her ultimate. Let me get rid of the meter first because this is something I really want to show. Get rid of it completely. You see how we have a little bit of blue there? Nothing else. If I were to ult, my meter is instantly built. Not only did we assault and we got 100k off that, but we also have our meter back, and then we have the dot, so then we can just fully build it back. It's insane. It's so good. I love how her ult works. It feels like a final trump card. If you don't have your meter built and you still want to proc Assault, boom, there you go. You get away with it. I feel like that's the main reason why you can get away with running a hyper carry Jane Doe team, and it's because of that ultimate. You're not reliant on anybody else other than herself because of the fact that she's so easy to build up, and it's mainly because of the fact that everything gives her kit value, including that ult. Now I can yap and yap constantly about her kit, how she plays, but I really want to show you guys some gameplay to actually capitalize on how good she really is. I want to show that in action. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the hardest shoe defense level, the one where you actually cannot die, supposedly, or you cannot, get the max achievements. We're going to go up against the physically weak character, max difficulty, everything. And I'm going to show you how valuable playing Jane Doe is, even in that scenario. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. You guys have no clue how excited I was for this character on release and how much I really wanted her. Her episode was really amazing. I enjoyed the whole storyline quest, whatever. Very nice to see her POV of things, or any POV besides our own in general. Very sweet. And her gameplay is so satisfying. I've enjoyed everything about this character so far, and this video is just, you know, a little bit of a love letter to that, you know. This is also the first character I've ever summoned on in this game that hasn't been a standard banner character. So yeah, I mean, definitely a little excited. I might summon on Bernice. I am not too sure. I might. And then from there, I also really want Miyabi. So I guess we'll see where that goes. But I've got a handful of characters I'm considering right now. I just want to say thank you for whoever's made it this far into the video. It really does, you know, matter to me. Thank you guys. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye.